Martins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Grassroot Chats. Oh, it's been a wonderful weekend. We went to St. Mary's, and now we're somewhere in the Caribbean, and we're somewhere in a blurry environment in Mr. Thanos, AK-47, and of course the angry one, Mike N. Yeah, that's you, Mike, the angry one. People, it's been a wonderful weekend, and I know people are itching to talk about stuff, but we're going to start in a very, very, very sweet topic about strikers. We're going about strikers today. And yes, I know, Mike, you know exactly who I'm about to talk about. But first, I'm actually going to shock you guys. I'm going to talk about a striker that, yes, I know it's just been 2 appearances, but he looks really good. He looks hungry, he works hard, he chases down defenders. And I think it's probably one of the dark horse signings so far, and that is Adam Armstrong from Southampton. AK, you were live at St. Mary's this weekend. What can you tell us about that individual? Because he seems like he might be somebody that will do well.
Man, so on Saturday was the first time I was watching him in real life, and the guy was literally bullying, pushing.
Sunday,
on Sunday, pushing Harry Maguire and Lindelof. Like, he's a handful. Like, very strong, very aggressive. He's not afraid. He doesn't play like someone who just made the jump from Championship. Actually, having Armstrong and Jay Adams is like having 2 big bullies in front, and they were a handful for like the defenders all through the match. And I think the difference between him and Jay Adams is he's a better finisher, to be fair. So I'm expecting him to come good this season.
Sometimes, do you think that jump from the Championship makes his boys come a bit hungry? They have something to prove. They want to stay in the Premier League. What do you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, because you want to prove that you belong to be here, and that's supposed to be the best of the best. So if I'm coming to the Championship, I'm going to come and show you that actually I belong here. I want to be a big man on campus. Also, you can get a move to a bigger team, but that probably doesn't factor in straight away. But you just want to be the best and prove what you're about. So,
is it tougher though for how big? So one of the words that people are always throwing about consistency. How much consistency will somebody like Adam Armstrong have to show to actually get the looking from the bigger clubs, Steve?
It'd have to be more on his work rate and how he approaches the game than actual numbers in terms of goals. If he gets between 10 and 15 goals this season, then bigger clubs will look at him. I don't think they'll take a punt on him straight away, but if he shows that he applies himself correctly, consistently in every game, he doesn't go missing for a couple of games, but he's always on it. I think in going to Southampton, he's found a good partner in Che Adams, and they seem to have struck up a good relationship straight away, so that could help him.
So Southampton can probably say they've forgotten about Danny Ings already. They have a hungry young striker running around. Or was it a case of Maguire and Lindelof just making him look good? Huh? What do you think, AK? You were there in the stadium.
No, it's too early to start comparing him with Danny Ings. Danny Ings is obviously like a more accomplished player. He's a finisher. But I think, you're talking about Harry Maguire, England, like top defender, the final of the European Championship, playing for Manchester United, bought for almost £90 million. And Armstrong made him look like, looks so terrible. So I think the boy is very hungry, and if he continues this way, he's gonna go places.
Okay, well, talking about going places, I wish him all the best. It's just been 2 appearances that we've seen, but he looked really good, hungry, non-stop. He could have actually won the game for Southampton.
Yes, he could have.
A wonderful, wonderful save from De Gea. On this wonderful Grassroot Chats, there are 2 individuals particularly that always attack De Gea. One. They are sitting diagonally from each other. I'll give you a clue, people. It's not me, it's not Mike. However, De Gea kept Man United in that game. And even if Steve, he was a keeper, always goes against De Gea. AK always goes against De Gea.
Always go against De Gea.
100%. There's nothing De Gea does. AK is always sending me messages during the game. Instead of watching the entire play, telling me, oh, did you see De Gea's footwork? Or did you see he should have come out for this ball? Blah, blah, blah. But it's all good. It was a wonderful game to watch. Another thing I can possibly say is I hope you can agree with me, Mike, that this clearly shows Man United is very far from a finished article. They definitely need some players. What do you think about Matic's performance?
So you're talking about Man United, yeah?
Yeah, Matic, man. He looked like he had like pounded yam on his leg.
Yeah, but
his age showed.
Yeah, but you've got other options though. Why are you even playing him?
Well, McTominay had a knock apparently before the game, so they wanted to rest him. But then when people talk about age, Matic is a wonderful seasoned player. Clearly,
wait. You've got players on the bench you could have played. You could have played Van der Beek. You could have played.
Van der Beek is not defensive. Man.
Eh?
Van der Beek is not defensive.
Well, Navage Fred, when he first came, he played right midfield. So
Fred, when did Fred ever play right midfield?
First game he played with Mourinho, he played right mid. I thought it was midfielder.
We're talking about Mourinho though. Mourinho has played Eto on left back. Come on, come on, man. What are we talking about here?
Anyway,
but Matic is not what lost you the point.
Sorry?
He's not
Matic is not what lost you the points, though.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm just saying that there could be.
Making excuses.
You can just see that there's clearly something missing in the team, though. There's no. Yes, Matic wasn't the one. The game started with Man United dominating, looking like we're going to go away with it for the first at least 10 minutes. Wonderful defending from Salisu, who was probably at least the 2 games in the most improved player for Southampton. He looking more compact, more composed. But it was a game that would have gone anywhere. We could have lost. Southampton could have won. However, talking about strikers union, which I started with, is how many more chances do you think Anthony Martial needs in the Man United shirt, Steve?
I don't get why he played him there in the first place against Southampton when Greenwood started there last week and done a good job.
I think he didn't want to start Sancho. I think Sancho is still getting up to speed, so he wanted Greenwood on the left, on the right, and then Martial, as they say, has been.
But the thing is that kind of doesn't make sense though, because Greenwood played very well last week, and he played through the middle, innit? Last week.
Yes, he did.
So you're going away from home, you're on a good run. To take someone out who's scored, who played very well, to move him, to accommodate someone who's a bit iffy sometimes, depends what mood he turns up in, doesn't make sense. So I think that's a bad selection.
What do you think, Mike?
I think you just don't play Martial down the middle, full stop. There's no more real chances. You play him when you don't have any choice, maybe. I mean, like, but if you've got a choice, then you play whoever you want to play in the middle, and you can play him on the left or right, whatever, if you need to. But he's not a middle striker. He's a forward. He's not a striker, and he's had his chances, but he's just not. I don't know what the reason is, but he just doesn't fit Man United. I won't say whack, but his performances are whack. So,
which makes him whack.
Wow, his performances are whack. Well, not according to Steve. According to Steve, it doesn't matter about the performances. Anyway, so
this guy.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get you later. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We'll get there. Don't worry about the performances. However, though, what is this talk about? A lot of people have been saying this, and I mean, we'll get there eventually. So people say these things of, oh, he's a young player. You don't need to play him straight away in the middle. Let him grow. Let him get confident. That's probably why they're playing the likes of Martinelli down the wing. Yes, I know he played in the middle against Chelsea, but is playing from the right and left making Greenwood mature more than eventually going to the middle? Do you think that actually works, AK?
100%. So I agree to that school of thought that you need to play young players from wide areas. Actually, Arsene Wenger believes the same thing as well. And I think, so every striker wants to play through the middle, because if you play through the middle, you have more chances of scoring a goal. So you're playing in your preferred position. So I think when you tell a young player to go wide, you're kind of indirectly training them. Like, you can't always get what you want. So they end up like, building, the skills you need to, to have a long career, basically. And also, when you're young as well, there's a physical side of it as well. When you're young, you're facing big defenders as well. Your body hasn't formed properly. You're facing defenders like Harry Maguire, for example. So it makes more sense to play through the middle when you're kind of like, much older and you understand the game better as well.
Okay. Well, it was a good game. It was a good game. Finished the point. That initial sweet beginning of, oh my God, wiping away leads and all that story.
Do you know the turning point of the game?
Tell me the turning point of the game.
When the coach, Southampton manager, switched to a back three. That was actually what invited United to start to attack. The first, if Southampton played with 4 defenders and carried the momentum from the first half, they should have won that game.
But then at the end of the game, it was pretty much 50-50 momentum, even with the 3 defenders.
Julian, can I ask who got the assist for Man United?
Oh, Pogba.
Yeah.
Who are you asking? Because I know you're not asking me.
He was trying to slide. He was actually trying to tackle. If you look at the assist, he was like sliding. It wasn't really like.
So that's 5 assists in 2 games.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
And then no more assists at the end of the season.
Wow. I didn't know. So I thought we had Steve, Mike, and AK. I didn't know we had Steve, Mike, and Graham. I didn't know we had that guy. But now that we've gone from Adam Armstrong, who is an upcoming striker, hungry, to Marshall, who has been there, giving chances, injury, whatever, whack performances. Now we're talking about a finished product. A man that everybody said, oh, when you go to Italy, things are easier, blah, blah, blah. But this guy started in England, went to Italy, and refined himself like some sweet, nice, juicy wine and pasta. And then he came back to the Premier League, and his first wonderful game was against the Sweet Gunners. First of all, everybody talks about Lukaku's power. He lost weight going to Italy, was on some wonderful training regime, wonderful diet, blah, blah, blah. And now Lukaku can actually turn his back to the post. He can hold up play. He's fast, he's quick. Are we seeing a finished Lukaku? Are we seeing Lukaku 2.0? Is he finally the striker we've always wanted him to be?
You're seeing a much more improved Lukaku going to Italy. Italy is notoriously the most defensive league in the world. Yeah, everyone talks about how defensive it is and stuff. So Lukaku has definitely refined his skills playing there. Yeah,
a lot of people do mention that it's slow though, so that's why he had a good time. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's slower, but he's still the skills that he's showing is stuff he used to show when he was here. But he's just a lot better at it. It's like he believes in himself a lot more now. The way he turns and rolls defenders, they played against Arsenal and he bossed it. But at the end of the day, there's not many defenders in the Premier League that can handle Lukaku one-on-one.
Well, we'll find out, innit? All we know is that Murray got flipping carried on his back like a little bitch. So that's what we know.
One-on-one for what he can do when it's no excuses. When he feels
everybody, there's gonna be
as I said, there's gonna be very few defenders that can handle him one-on-one. Gonna be very interesting on Saturday when he goes up against Van Dijk. Yeah, and see how I saw how he did to Murray. I didn't say
guy on his back with a rapper,
he's gonna do that too. He's going to do that. He's going to do that to a lot of defenders.
He ain't gonna do it to nobody.
Once he's got his hand out and he's feeling that defender and he pins that defender, defenders is not gonna go around him. They're not going to get the ball.
Let me ask you this. So everybody talks about Lukaku's power and his space, and Mike obviously thinks Murray should go to Pure Gym and
Pure Gym.
Pure Gym won't help him.
In his Schwarzenegger, in his help, mate. Man, but this embarrassing.
But now this is a case. AK, do you think it's a case of it was just a good time to play Arsenal? It wasn't, and of course Chelsea looked really good. Chelsea looked really good, free flowing, counter attack, touch here. They moved the ball quicker, all that story. But was it Lukaku dominated? He pretty much led that line. But was it just a case of it was a good time to play Arsenal, AK?
Yes, it was. I don't want to be rude, but when I think of Arsenal, the first thing that comes to my mind is soft defensively. Watching the game on Sunday, is the same, like Arsenal versus Chelsea, Drogba versus Senderos, gone. you know, when Drogba was having a laugh, you know. So like, yeah, I mean, Arsenal was just tailor-made for Lukaku. He's too strong. He's a good finisher. We know all these things about Lukaku. Like it's still the Lukaku we've always known. Like his goal scoring record has been good everywhere from West Brom. Even in United, his goal record was still very decent. So it wasn't a surprise for me that he was dominant against Arsenal. But time will tell. Also, it's been very interesting to see whether he can do the same things to Burnley defenders, you know, to some of these other teams, you know.
Mike, you have the opinion that he bullied threw Mari up on the guard. You don't think he can do that to the likes of Van Dijk?
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, where everyone plays football here, right? So if the guy is ridiculously strong and incredible Hulk, yeah, why are you gonna get touch tight for him when you know he's just gonna throw you in the dustbin? Why?
But if we're talking about Mari here, he also knows you're gonna outpace you.
Say that again.
So if we're talking about Mari here,
he's gonna outpace him. If he turns you, he's gone.
Yep, he turns you, he's gone.
Yeah, okay,
so
the problem with yesterday is that Arsenal didn't change their tactics and defend as a team. To nullify Lukaku, you cut off the supply. Yeah. Okay. So you don't let the ball go through the middle, yeah, straight to his feet. Where's the two holding midfielders? The players are experiencing. You got Granit Xhaka's an international on the pitch. He's got to identify that. You know what I mean? He's got to drop in sitter. He's got to drop in deeper. Burnley, you probably see when they play, they'll probably go as a pair, the centre-backs. If one goes touch tight, the other one will cover. Yeah, you can't defend Lukaku. Say again?
Why didn't Arsenal do that?
They're stupid.
So one of the most basic rules in football is you should never let a player run behind you, right? So Mari should have anticipated that Lukaku was going to go for that ball.
I'm confused though. Why is a lot of blame on Mari?
Exactly. His anticipation, just run back. Do you know if you just run backwards like a second before Lukaku, you could have done something. Just anticipate and run before the striker. Anticipating Lukaku was going to make that run.
Are you talking about on the goal?
Yeah. So
but even if you take the goal out of it, and the way they played, that as a centre back pairing, was wrong. You know, Lukaku, if Mari's going to go touch tight and he's going to roll you, Holding's got to look to come in behind him. Yeah, they wasn't doing that. The two defensive midfielders, you've got to play narrow. Lukaku wasn't getting the ball outside the width of the 18-yard box. Yeah, when it's passed straight up through the middle. So it's not to say these are diagonal balls. It was straight from the centre back to the centre forward. Yeah, there was no protection, and Arsenal continuously do that.
So let me ask you this. So first of all, before we go into the Arsenal blueprint of what was wrong, so when you look at Chelsea play, and one of the reasons that we're talking about strikers here is because I remember last season I asked the question of, is striking going to be obsolete soon, especially with the false nines and people trying to put midfielders that can hold the ball, do some dribbling. But clearly, Chelsea have shown that with Werner, that he wasn't scoring. They went and they brought Lukaku, put him in the middle, power, pace, let's do all that. So Man City are trying now to try and get, Kane to remove this whole false nine story. Now, as strikers are coming back into wonderful, supply in terms of pushing forward, the defending though, if you don't have power against strong strikers, are you saying you have no other option in the light of the Maris and all these other guys?
Use your brain.
Exactly. Anticipate. That's what you need to do.
It's not about strength only. It's about anticipation, about reading the game. There's some people who are terrible, not that who weren't particularly fast.
Daley Blind plays as a centre back. Daley Blind. He plays as a centre back.
Yeah, he's not fast, but he's
not the quickest, not the strongest, but he's very intelligent.
You have to read the game. That's it.
So what do you do? What do you do as a manager? What do you do if your fittest defender is who you can play in the likes of who Arteta played yesterday, and you're being skinned alive on a steady? What do you do?
Play back three, maybe you play back three or something like that. I don't know. You change something. Maybe you tell the DM to come tighter. You do something. You don't just sit there scratching your fucking face.
The two DMs should have played much narrower. If you just look at the areas where Lukaku picked up the ball and hurt Arsenal, they were all within the width of probably probably about 5 yards either side of the goalpost. Not even the whole width of the 18-yard box. Just the
Steve, I
size
tell
of the
you
goal,
what,
each, yeah, and that's where they received the ball. The Arsenal
Yeah.
defensive midfielders didn't have Lukonga. Yes, he was trying his best, but Granit Xhaka, he was too busy trying to press their goalkeeper.
I tell you what, at one point, right? At one point I watched, I don't know if any of you play basketball, but there's a thing where we call it, when we play in the low post and you post up on somebody, yeah? Back up on somebody, you hold the guy off,
Yep.
and then you want to receive the ball in the low post. At one point in the game, Lukaku was doing that, calling for the ball, posting up on Murray, saying, yeah, give me the
Exactly.
ball. He can't do that to me.
Exactly.
How can that happen in football?
He wasn't, but Mike, he wasn't doing that one time. He done that a few times. But what I'm trying to say is, as the DMs, they've got to cut off that supply. Get in front of him. You can't put your two centre backs on the one man, but your DMs have got to come across and be in front of him. Cut off the supply. Watch how Liverpool play him on Saturday.
Okay, listen to what Steve is saying. If your DMs closing that deep, they leave the middle open, don't they?
Definitely.
No. What?
And
I
you're inviting
didn't. No,
pressure.
hold on.
Also.
I didn't say they have to be in front of him, as in a yard in front of him. But the gap has to be narrow. So when someone looks up from centre back, they can't see that they've got 20 yards between the two DMs to pass the ball to their striker, and that's what was happening yesterday.
So now the question now is very simple. I've been looking and listening to a whole lot of people talk about things about Arteta, blah, blah, blah. So are we fair? Is it fair to say, do we actually believe that the honeymoon period is over? Arsenal has spent 129 million, as we're talking now in the transfer window, the highest ever. So the case is not a case of, oh, we don't have money. So we can't use money as a reason. He has bought some certain players. Or is it just a case of that, regardless of how good the Arsenal team would have been with the beginning of these fixtures in the terms of Brentford, Chelsea, and of course, Man City next? Is it just a case of let him get past these 3 games and then let's see what happens? Hopefully all the players will be back. What do you think, Mike?
First of all, this money we spent 129.
Talking to Mike. Talking to Mike.
Yeah. First of all, 129 million is too little, too late. We've been woefully underspending in the past anyway. So there's too many gaps to plug. And now we're going to try and spend 129 million, and everyone keeps talking shit about how much we spent. But how much have we not spent in the past? And we've mismanaged the money we spent. 72 million on Pepe, and he's was even okay. Was Ben White 50 million? He might be okay, but so even when we do spend money, we waste it. So Arteta, whether we like it or not, is going to be there at least until November, or at least until we are mathematically close to being relegated. So it might even be December. Who knows, man?
Steve, you're possibly the second most positive Arsenal fan out there. I think the first we all agree is the guy called Ty.
No. There's positive, and there's realistic.
No, man, you're not realistic. Don't lie.
There's positive and there's realistic. Yeah. Given. Go on. What's the question?
Let me. The question is this: do you think Arteta said there were positives that he could take from the game, even if the fans were booing? He said there were positives he could take from the game, and he believes that Arsenal. He said Arsenal are missing 9 players. That's what he said. I don't know the 9, but so do you see as a case of tough fixtures and there's room for improvement, or is it just a case of there's nobody else out there, so we might as well stick to Arteta?
So the positives he could take out the game is the fact that the main spine of the team was missing in terms of his best centre back in Gabriel. Partey's missing from the middle. Aubameyang's missing up top, and so that's the only positives I can see you taking out the game. Yeah, if you're mentioning people like Willian and stuff, that's not going to add nothing. That's not going to help yesterday's result. Yeah, that's the only positive you can take out of the game. That there's some big players inside that club who are missing from the game. Yeah,
and the case of Arteta, because it's nobody else, or give him more time.
There's always somebody else.
There is always somebody else, but are you changing just for the sake of changing to get that temporary blip in improvement? But overall, we're not going to change our position.
What do you think? What do you think, AK? Let's come from an outside perspective. We have the realistic / positive Steve. We have the angry, I just want to beat Arteta up, Mike. What do you think, AK? Give us a different perspective. What do you think would be good for Arsenal? If we gave you the keys now, you're in charge of the Arsenal board. Let's call you Russian AK-47. What would you do to the Arsenal team?
I'll throw money at the problem.
But they've already thrown 129.
No, 129 is far too little. Arsenal
129 on 5 players, yeah?
Exactly.
So it's not top quality players.
Exactly.
129 million on 5 players.
Quality, right? So, like, and I said this last time around, like, Arsenal needs to invest in players that will just walk straight into the team. Like, imagine if Arsenal bought a Varane, for example. You're buying someone who is better than all the defenders.
Well, he's untested in the English Premier League. So how do you know his work?
Well, his experience. Like, you don't play 16 finals and win 15 if you're shit, right? Like, he's a very good player. He's won the World Cup. So I can understand why they won't go for players like Varane, because obviously he's going to ask for big wages, right? And Arsenal wants to cut down the wage bill. So what they're trying to do is to buy players with potential
for tomorrow,
which is fine, which obviously they give you resale value and stuff like that. So for Arsenal to get anywhere close to what Chelsea is, or even Man City, they should be spending around 300 million. That's how back Arsenal has gone. That's how backwards they are. So when people are saying Arsenal spent 130 million, but they had to spend 130 million.
Could Arsenal still be in that mindset that even with Wenger, they didn't have to spend that much and they were competing?
They had better players then.
Yeah, but then he was finding diamonds in the rough here and there.
But it's not only diamonds in the rough. You had the draw of Wenger to bring the player to the club. Yeah, you had the draw of Champions League to bring players to the club.
But he had to prove that though. It wasn't like it was immediately. He came. He came in. He changed his style. He brought 13 players. I mean, even
but he had a fantastic base to build with.
So
he had a fantastic base. When when he came, he had a fantastic base, and the players that ended up to be superstars at Arsenal did not walk into that club as superstars.
Oh, okay. So now let's just keep this real. Mike, Arteta in, Arteta out, even with more money.
It's a blood clot out, mate. Not just out. Yeah.
No. And replace him with who?
But me, fuck it. I'll go and do it. Anybody can do that job. Steve, are you joking? You can call any what are we now? Like 19? There's about 10 managers in the Premier alone that are better than Arteta because they've got allegedly worse squads, but still get better performances out. So any of those guys, in theory, then could come into a better squad like Arsenal apparently are and do a better than that kind of Arteta. Don't fucking sit there and tell like there's nobody else in the entire world of football.
I'm not saying that there's nobody else, man. I'm not saying, but
and on top of that, you're talking about going from 0 to 100 in a minute. Talking about jumping to winning the league. I'm talking about we're 8th now. We'll probably finish 8th this season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the next stage for Arsenal.
You're 19th. You're
19th.
So the next stage for Arsenal realistically is top 6. It's not even top 4. So we can get a manager better than Arteta to get better results to get us to the top 6.
Okay, it's a very simple situation. And man, Steve, you saying you're being a realist. Mike wants Arteta out, and he has said that there are other managers in the league that are better, but they won't come to Arsenal. They will not because they're happy where they are. So Steve, Arteta stay, Arteta out with more money. And if you say out, who? Or you're just happy to see him continue to go and see if he improves?
But why more money when you waste money?
I'm asking Steve. Take a drink, Mike. Take a drink.
My thing, JJ, is that if you're gonna replace him, you need to replace other things as well, in terms of the recruit to make things like the recruitment better. Yeah, it's not just change the manager for someone else. Not unless you're going for a big manager like a Conte, and you're going to give him reign of the club and give him a lot of money, so he can actually change the identity of the club. If you just bring in another manager who's used to finishing bottom half of the table without changing the structure around him, you're going to be in the same position probably in 12 months. You're not going to make that jump to top 6. People talk about Brendan Rodgers. Why would Brendan Rodgers leave Leicester in their current situation to come to Arsenal, where the club in itself, not just the manager position, the whole club is in turmoil?
Okay. So
Arteta's gonna get relegated.
the beautiful thing about when we talk about Arsenal is we can go on forever because, of course, there are two outcomes. One, Mike will get angry, and two, Steve and Mike can never agree. And AK will just keep smiling and looking at them and just go, well, this is just, I'm happy in St. Mary's. But anyway, moving on.
Listen, before we move on,
yeah.
What's your thoughts, outsider, as an outsider?
Oh, no. I think, are you asking me or Julian?
I'm asking both of you.
Oh, Julian, go first.
Okay. So my thought as an outsider is very simple. So I think there's a lot of pointing fingers in Arsenal. It's always somebody else's fault, in the sense that, oh, the structure, the this, the that. I think Arteta should try. This is what I see. I think as a manager, all he needs to do is concentrate on his players and trying to get the best out of. Even if they end up giving him boys from Haggeston 5 aside, he should concentrate on his players and try and get the best out of it. I also think the issue he has is he has the stubbornness of a young manager that doesn't want to adapt. He has a particular mindset that he just wants to keep. This is what I want to implement. This is how it needs to be done. If it's not going to be done this way, it's not going to work. And I think that usually comes in with young managers that want to prove themselves. They don't want to follow another person's style, another person's situation. I mean, if you look at the quality of the players in Arsenal, and Arteta has proven it actually. When he came, there was a slight improvement, but he couldn't just push them a bit further. And that's simply because you're probably asking a bit too much from players that cannot produce what you want. And that's why you have the likes of David Moyes and Big Sam that will just be like, okay, look, you're a fast runner. You can run like a flea. Just run this way, you run that way. Play the players to what they can play. And I think there should be a better connection with Edu and Arteta, because I think Edu is buying players based on, oh, this guy is free. And Arteta goes, I don't really need that guy. And Edu just buys. So I think concentrate on what you have, because you have clearly proved that you can make them better players when you came. I mean, you made David Luiz be a better defender.
That's 3-5-2.
That's my view. I just think, but then I also think, and lastly, I think Arteta overestimates his team. So he thinks he probably has a Man City. He doesn't. He needs to realize that the players he has, they're not up to that caliber. So you have to try and make it work for them. What do you think, AK?
I mean, I think Arteta needs to be given more time.
Fuck off.
And more money to spend. And it's very simple. So actually, 100% of what because if you go and bring in another manager, the manager will come and ask for maybe 100 to 200 million to buy new players. So you end up spending money anyways, and you're probably going to get a new manager that's going to earn higher than Arteta and might still fail anyway. So I mean, it's a game of chances, right? So they could succeed, they could fail. Arteta won the FA Cup. Let's not forget that, right? He won the FA Cup. Emery didn't win nothing, when he was managing Arsenal.
Well,
and this is supposed to be a manager that is highly inexperienced. His first ever job, he won the FA Cup. So I think the fans need to get behind
City and Chelsea.
Exactly, on route to the final. So
and now.
Well, because the fans have turned against him, I think it's the time for the fans to all come together, the club as a whole, to unite, try and support. He's young. He's even more than 40 years old. He's very young. Yeah, he's a young guy, right?
Yeah, very young.
Manager.
I think JJ made a very good point, though. There is the stubbornness in it, whereas sometimes I look at the team and they're better suited to play three at the back. And that's when he first came in, and that's what they were doing, three at the back, and it was proving very successful. But now he does seem set to play a 4-2-3-1.
It's not working.
Well, let's move on, because it says it's not working, things are different, blah blah. So the beautiful thing about the games this weekend is that one of the things I liked was that the games actually showed some certain players in different lights. So apparently, the rumor out there is that Tottenham wants Adama Traore. Obviously, his former manager is now the manager. They want to buy him. So if you watch that game, I don't think there's any doubt that Traore has massively improved, and his big improvement came under Nuno Espirito Santo. But if Tottenham does buy Adama Traore, and of course, let's assume they lose Kane. What do you think Adama Traore will bring to the squad? Bearing in mind they will have Son, Bergwijn, Adama Traore. Now, people are a bit confused about the guy. I think he has massively improved, but he's powerful, he's fast. Apparently, he doesn't go to the gym. And and all that involved. But do you think he will add anything?
He only rubs oil on his arm.
Do you think he will add anything to the Tottenham squad, especially if they lose Kane? What do you think, AK?
I mean, like you mentioned, the guy has actually very much improved. Before he was a very frustrating player. So he's improved so much that he was being called up to the Spanish squad for the last European tournament. If they lose Kane, yes, gives them a very good option. Another winger. I think also Lucas Moura is a very good player, but obviously he's getting older. He's not going to play all the games. And you're talking about possibly the fastest player in world football. So I think Nuno Espirito Santos, who I described as a counter-attacking manager, Adama Traore just literally fits into his plan, like having the fastest player playing for a counter-attacking team.
So you know how you were talking about power and stuff, Mike. So this guy is powerful, he's strong, but then there are three things now. One, sometimes he's so fast, he gets to the 18, looks up, all his players are in the midfield line. That's one. Two, sometimes he bullies the defenders, takes on the defender, goes, his finishing is not all that. His finish is not all that. He could have one-on-one situations, he doesn't take them. And of course, then he also has the thing of where he runs he can beat a man like 3 times in one spot, then push it down the line. And guess what? None of his teammates will be able to catch up. So a lot of people think out of 10 attacks, he only produces maybe 4. And that's actually
Spurs are supposed to be better than Wolves. So
sorry?
Spurs are apparently supposed to be better than Wolves, aren't they? So.
Are they faster than the Wolves players?
So this guy was selected ahead of Asensio. Don't forget that Luis Enrique selected him.
Well, there you go. So do you Steve? What do you see him adding to the Tottenham squad? I mean, to make a good North London derby.
He adds explosiveness. You give him the ball and one can just burst through. But as you said, he gets too far ahead of the whole team. And then when he gets through himself, he lacks composure. He just doesn't slow it down enough in the key moments. And that's delivering a cross or in on goal.
So Mike, do you think they're just basic tweaks you can make to him just to make him
he can improve. And he showed I don't know how much it will cost. I don't know how much it will cost in the end. But
Wolves are asking for 40 million.
Okay, no. That's the bid. They want more than 40 million. It's a loan. It's a loan. There's 2 years left on his deal, and they're talking about they want to do a loan plus 40 million. Loan deal, then 40 million.
Oh, at
the end of the loan, yeah. But Wolves are saying nah. They want more than what they got for Jota.
They know they are dealing with Daniel Levy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Mike, yeah.
So it's 40 million, but he showed one of the key things I like about players is that he showed the ability to improve. So he's improved. You can see he's improved. So there's no cap on improvement. So I'm sure he could improve Arsenal, I wish, at Tottenham. So he's worth adding to the Tottenham squad, especially if they lose Kane.
The interesting thing is the interesting thing with Traore going to Tottenham is that what's improving him? The fact that he's at Tottenham, that he's with better players, because he's going under the same manager. So if the manager didn't solve it a couple of years that he had him at Wolves, what would make him solve it at Tottenham?
Yeah, but it made him way better though. So
he made him way better. But the things that's going to make Traore improve again is the things we spoke about: the composure, being able to finish.
But he's also playing better players. He's also playing with better players.
Yeah, so that's what I asked the question. Is it going to be the Tottenham players and the fact that he's a Tottenham, or because the manager's had him for a couple of years already?
Both, I think.
I think it's a combination of the both. I mean, I was watching him when he was in Championship, and like I said, he was very, very frustrating. He was literally so predictable. He couldn't even deliver a good cross. And like JJ mentioned, the coach literally, molded him into this very good player where he's making better decisions. You know, his crosses have improved. So going back to the same coach that gave him so much confidence, improved his game a lot, would actually, you know, be a good thing for him.
And Steve, I prefer him to say Pepe, for example, who doesn't seem to have improved in, I don't know how long he's been with us now, but 72 million and he's not improved. So I think Tottenham will do well to get him if they lose Kane, because at least you know he's got something about him.
So now I like the fact that you mentioned Kane. He came in 20 minutes ago, had a couple of chances. Obviously, he's not as fit as they claim. Still a world-class striker. Everybody thinks that come 31st, he will actually go to City. Now, why Kane misses training, right? And of course, he claims he was supposed to come back when he was supposed to come back, blah, 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 blah. He has clearly said he wants to go. But however, they love the guy. They want him to stay there, keep him. Now, Tanguy Ndombele, who had a wonderful season last season, improved. I mean, when he first came, he turned it around. He wanted to go home, language, blah, blah, blah. Mourinho kept him out in the cold. Eventually, he turned it around, became a wonderful player last season. He's probably one of their best. Now, all of a sudden, why is he being just pretty much put in negative treatment? Even if the player wants to go, so Kane wants to go, he's making the bench. He's being played. They're making excuses for him. Ndombele wants to go, which I believe he wants to go after he was left out of the squad. So why is it different? Well, because Kane is a bigger asset. Because if they're being professional and sticking to contracts, why is he being, kept out in the cold? AK?
I mean, I guess it's so it's two different cases, right? So Kane, they want to keep Kane because obviously, like, he's a big asset. The club doesn't want, so that's the difference. So they want Kane, but they don't want Ndombele.
Ndombele is the highest.
He's their record signing.
Yes, I know, but it hasn't worked out for him. And I remember
he had
watching.
A wonderful last season. What do you mean it hasn't worked out for him?
Yeah, like wonderful half season, because he started very poorly. Yes, he started very poorly. He got into some arguments with Mourinho. Mourinho called him out a lot of times. And then later on, he became the go-to guy. He became a very important player for Mourinho. But I think
Nuno though. Sorry, what's that got to do with Nuno? Nuno just came in, so all that shit don't matter.
Yeah, no. But he said, like, one of the interviews he gave last season was that he trip more, like he doesn't feel settled in London, for some reason, maybe the difference in culture and stuff like that. So I think he wants to leave. The club wants him to leave. He's not just him, remember, they're also frozen out Aurera, the right back, who actually said he wanted to go back to PSG. So if two players are not in your plans, and what these clubs do normally is they freeze you out, so that it becomes easier to get rid of you. So it's kind of telling you that we don't want you, go and find a club.
But this is what I don't understand. So a player misses training. They talk about how unprofessional it is. It's in your contract, blah, blah, blah. A player also says, I want to go. They start talking about contracts. You have 3 years left. You train, you come back. So whether you want the player or not, the same professionalism, business, whatever you want to call it, has to be done both ways.
Should be the same.
Yeah, so yes, you don't want Ndombele. I never understand when the same players are training with the reserves. You don't want the man, that's fine, but he's a senior player.
The thing I don't get with Ndombele is that he's your record signing, so you've made a massive investment in him. Okay, yes, all right. If you don't want him, then step to the table when another club looks to bid for him, which Bayern were looking to do. Yeah, but Tottenham didn't even go to the table. Then you're not including him in any pre-season squads. They done the Europa Conference League the other day. He wasn't in the squad, and they had teenagers in there.
Imagine that.
It doesn't make any sense. If you don't want the player, just let him go. And then the other thing which in this situation is Tottenham have called him out personally in terms of it's to do with his attitude. And for him to be a Tottenham player, he's got to give more of himself or something like that. It's not nice when people come out and question the guy's professionalism, especially if he can't use the platform to talk and defend himself. So if they want to let him go, let him go.
Especially if somebody has made a bid for him.
Well, they didn't even, Tottenham didn't even go to the table. They didn't even respond. They didn't even say, like, it's not a good offer. They just didn't enter the negotiation.
So that's very interesting. That means Tottenham obviously still see the potential in him and still rate him as a very good player and obviously see him as a big investment. So they don't want to sell him.
But then he should be in the European squad.
But it's interesting. This has come up twice. So Mourinho questioned his attitude. Levy questioned his attitude. And now the new manager is supposedly questioning his attitude. So there's something that doesn't add up. Maybe the player needs to, do something to, kind of improve his attitude. I don't know. I mean, if three people, two different managers are complaining about your attitude.
Sounds like unconscious bias to me, to be honest. One of them ones, his attitude is true.
No, look at Sissoko. Sissoko had the same, difficult time in Tottenham.
Yeah, but Sissoko was never called out. He just didn't start well.
No, but that's because he changed. So that's another thing that Daniel Levy said in his interview as well. He was actually using Sissoko as an example. That when Sissoko came, he had to, things were not hard for him. He had to kind of, work hard and didn't give up. But it looks like a difference between Sissoko and Ndombele is finding it harder to deal with these difficulties.
Let me go then. I want to go. Tell me, innit? What's all this long thing about complying with your bullshit?
Well, I can't sell you because I spent 70 million pounds on you. Sorry.
Then let me play.
I just don't see the advantage for the club to not play him. Whether they want to sell him or keep him, to not do nothing with him doesn't make any sense.
At least put him on the bench. Put him on the bench at least, so that at least if you need him, let him come on and play. It doesn't make sense.
Especially if they were just playing Premiership games, but they played the Europa Conference game and they put out a completely different squad, and he wasn't in it.
Imagine
it doesn't make any sense. They called up youth team players, man, and they didn't. It just doesn't make any sense.
They need him for the Premiership, not the Conference League.
So why is he playing with the reserves then? It's baffling.
Eventually, so maybe is a way of kind of punishing him to kind of get his acts together, and then hopefully he comes back and then apologizes and then starts working hard, and then they're integrating back into the squad.
And you mentioned Sissoko. Sissoko came from Newcastle. You could already speak English. He already lived in England for some time. He was finding it difficult in Tottenham, yes, but it wasn't like he was finding it difficult in English football. But I guess it's different. I just feel if you're going to treat players, if you're talking about business, professionalism, and all that, it should be across the board, not just. Yes, I agree.
Go both ways, mate. Go both ways.
It should definitely go both ways.
Like that, and it's not like football, is it?
However, this season looks like there's going to be some improvement to certain players. So players have been kept out in the cold. And what season? I know it's just been 2 games, but obviously it looks like a massive improvement. Consistency will have to come in. Do you think we're going to see the resurrection of Dele Alli, Steve?
Liberties.
Why is that funny? I don't understand.
I gotta laugh. It's too early for me to say. I think, you could say the fact that he's actually playing games is actually a bit of a resurrection, isn't it? Because he wasn't playing before. He's a decent player. If he's on the pitch over a certain number of games, he's going to have an impact. But is he going to be the main man for Tottenham? I don't think so.
Who's going to be the main man for Tottenham then, Mike?
Who's
going to be the main man for Tottenham then?
Apparently, Troy Parrott's going to come back, according to your mate. What's his name? He scored the other day for.
He's got a load, isn't he?
Yeah, but he scored the other day for the team he's playing for the championship.
You see, at least now you know who he is.
Yeah. Troy Parrott.
So, because the reason I'm asking is because Nuno seems like he's going to play his usual 3 in the middle, pretty much 4-3-3, counter-attacking football. Obviously, Son is going to be the focal point if Kane leaves. That's why I was asking if Adama Traore comes. So Dele Alli seems to be very important to his plans. So do you see a resurrected Dele Alli, Mike?
I think it's a bit early to say because the heights that he reached that half season, was it that he was on fire? I don't know if that's the real him or if that was just one of those good seasons you have sometimes. So you're saying the heights, I don't know if that's the actual player. I think he'll do much better than he did before because he wasn't playing. So whatever he does now, we're gonna say, he's a decent player because before he was getting 0 minutes under Mourinho. So I think he'll do okay. I'm not thinking. I don't know if he'll reach those the same level he did that season, but time will tell.
Cool. And AK, what do you think? Do you think the way, I mean, you have described Nuno as Mourinho in disguise. Do you think he can bring out or resurrect Dele Alli with his style of play?
So, first of all, I'm a very big fan of Dele Alli. He's very, very good and he's very skillful.
Is it dreads?
I was literally crying when I saw Mourinho treat him so badly because I like the guy a lot. So I think he's the best attacking midfielder that Tottenham has got, first of all. And if you're going to be playing counter-attacking football, you need that midfielder who is going to lay down those passes, right? So obviously no one better than Dele Alli. So, and the fact he had a very quiet summer, no tournaments, very prolonged preseason. So I think he's really geared up for this season to, come back to the Dele Alli we know about.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. Nuno started well, 6 points from 6. It's looking wonderful for him.
No goals.
No goals considered. Looking nice. Hugo Lloris is top goalkeeper after 2 games. Everything is looking sweet. Now, the question I want to know is, and I know how everybody here has like different perspectives when it comes to things. So Lewandoski has said he wants a new challenge. He's 35 years old, and Bayern Munich actually placed a 100 million price tag on the guy. So Steve, from your realistic view, where do you think Lewandoski can most likely end up?
With that price, he's not going nowhere. Simple, because you could add another 50 million and go for Harry Kane. You can go for Haaland. There's younger. You can go for Mbappe. There's younger strikers that if you put a similar amount of investment in them, you're going to get at least resale value. You're going to get more years out of them.
Lewandoski can probably give you 2 good years and you win the trophy twice and pretty much.
But how do you know though?
Yeah, but the thing is, which clubs one can afford him and will go for him? Because Chelsea don't need him, so they've got Lukaku, so they're out. PSG, nah.
United,
don't see.
We have Cavani.
Actually, Man United, that was a good shout.
We have Cavani.
Man United might be a shout,
Cavani.
but Man City, they'll probably rather spend the money on Kane.
Arsenal?
Can't afford him, Jack. Simple as that.
Why would you say that?
I would say Southampton, but they have Adam Armstrong.
but then if you look, Barcelona broke. Real Madrid, they'll probably spend the money on Mbappe.
Mbappe, yeah.
If you go to the clubs in, maybe would Juve do it? No, they're looking to out Ronaldo because of the money that they have to pay out. So if it was a free transfer and then you just had to pay his wages, then a lot more people will snap around him. But 100 million plus and his guy's got he's 33. So
I find it very weird and actually a bit interesting that he chose 10 days to the end or a week to the end of the transfer window to say he needs a challenge. Why didn't he say that at the beginning of the season? And as soon as he said that, then the news came out that Bayern Munich has put 100 million price tag on him. So I don't know if someone is playing a game.
It's interesting that it come out after Bayern said that they're interested in Haaland. It was about a week before they said they're interested in Haaland, isn't it?
Is it last season? Yeah, is it like 1 year on his contract?
Who? Lewandowski.
I think it's about 2 years, right?
2 years left.
2 years.
Yeah.
I personally think he's the best striker in the world. Actually,
no, I don't think there's any doubt in that. Personally,
it's not about the quality. It's just about the outlay and then age. How many years you're going to pay for him because of his age. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
only a top team who wants like a cherry on the cake to win the title or win a Champions League is gonna pay that money for him.
If Chelsea didn't have Lukaku, I could see them doing it. Because Chelsea don't care about that, the resale value business.
Yeah,
I could see them doing it. But
the fact that they could do it, Man United could because Man United
Man United still want resale value though.
Yep, and it's the wages though because we have Cavani. Pogba's wages are high. The Gear's wages are very high.
350.
Yep. So
Rashford's on
how can you pay a goalkeeper that's so much money?
Man United could give away to. You might not do it, but if you wanted to do it, you could do it.
I mean,
It's not like you can't do it.
you could. I personally see Lewandoski in the squad of Lacazette, Nketiah, Willian, Nelson, Elneny, Kolasinac.
It is a question for you, but if
Okay.
Lewandowski becomes available at his £100 million, but Ronaldo might be available at 25 million.
Yeah, but then you can't pay his wages.
His wage is 25 million a year.
No,
So
that's not his wage now.
Ronaldo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think about
million
25 to 30 million. That's
a year.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you pay 25 million for Ronaldo, plus if you have him, you could have
2
him
years.
for
He wants 2 year
2 years.
contract.
2 years. So
Okay.
then that outlay 75 million.
Yeah, but now United.
That's cheaper than Lewandowski.
Well,
Because Lewandowski is
true.
100 plus wages. Is what
then
I'm trying to say.
buy him then. If it's cheaper,
I'll go for him on FIFA. I'll go for FIFA, mate, or Championship Manager.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have pretty much gone through the Premier League. We've talked about certain players impressed this week. Talked about strikers union, those that might be good, upcoming, those that might be stale, those that we have no idea what's happening. So we're going to end on a very sweet, light note. And just keep it real, keep it simple. AK, August 31st, last day of transfer window. Should Aubameyang stay in Arsenal?
He has nowhere to go. That's the problem.
I had my
He's an incredible wage, and Barcelona doesn't have the money to buy him. I don't think Real Madrid will want him. So I don't know who can pay his wages.
City can pay it.
That's if they don't get paid. If they don't get Kane, sorry.
Yeah, it would be much cheaper than Kane.
But then
And he's younger. No, he's older. But he's
He's 32.
But it's
he's
cheaper.
not really a City player, though. That's another thing.
Anybody can City player under Pep.
I think he'll stay in Arsenal. He's gonna do an Ozil to Arsenal. So it's gonna be one of those. He's gonna prove very difficult to move out. So he's gonna stay to the end of his contract.
Mike?
Should he go?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he should. But he ain't gonna go. We're gonna be stuck with him. He's gonna be shit this season as well. And then we'll get relegated, innit? That's it.
You know, he likes his Lamborghinis and flashy cars, so it's gonna stay put.
Steve, imagine if Arsenal gets relegated, then Aubameyang drives the Lamborghini to the championship games.
I can tell you something. He won't come back with it. He won't come back with it, mate. I tell you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been another episode of Grassroot Chat. Thank you from St. Mary's, AK-47. Of course, the most positive, realist Arsenal fan, Mr. Thanos, Steve. And of course, the happy, angry one, Mike N.
That's London, you know that, innit?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode. We shall see you next week. Goodbye.